You have been conditioned to believe that working harder is the path to wealth. But society is lying to you. In the modern economy, excessive labor is actually destroying your financial future. Society trains you to be a biological machine, trading your limited 24 hours for a linear paycheck. True wealth is built through judgment and leverage, not exhaustion. In this video, we reveal Naval Ravikant's exact playbook: why you must stop working like a cow, and start working like a lion. From the moment we enter the education system, we are brainwashed with a very specific, very dangerous narrative. We are taught that the universe operates on a strictly linear scale of justice, where the amount of physical or mental exhaustion you endure directly equals the amount of financial reward you will receive. If you are not wealthy yet, society tells you it is simply because you are not working hard enough. You need to put in more hours. You need to take on a second project. You need to sacrifice your weekends. We have completely romanticized the grind. We wear our burnout and our sleep deprivation like medals of honor, competing with each other to see who can be the most exhausted. But let us look at reality. If pure, raw hard work was the secret to creating wealth, then construction workers, restaurant staff, and delivery drivers would be the wealthiest people on the planet. They work physically harder in a single day than most executives work in an entire month. Even in the corporate and technology worlds, there are brilliant software engineers working 80-hour weeks, constantly patching bugs, manually monitoring servers, and maintaining systems for their employers, yet they are barely keeping up with inflation. Why? Because they are caught in the trap of the hard worker identity. They are selling the most strictly limited resource in the universe, which is their time. No matter how prestigious your job title is, or how high your hourly rate might be, you are fundamentally a biological organism. You have an absolute biological limit of 24 hours in a day. You have to sleep. You have to eat. You have to rest. If your income requires your physical presence or your active mental focus to be generated, your wealth has a hard, unbreakable ceiling. You are playing a game where your inputs are strictly tied to your outputs. Naval Ravikant points out that when you are paid for your time, you are easily replaceable. The market does not care how tired you are. The market only cares about the value that is generated. By convincing you to measure your worth by how many hours you sit at a desk, society keeps you manageable. It keeps you predictable. It keeps you working on someone else's compounding asset instead of building your own. The people who are truly wealthy do not work harder than you. In fact, many of them work significantly fewer hours. The difference is not in their effort, but in the architecture of their income. They have decoupled their time from their earnings. They have stopped viewing themselves as a labor resource and started viewing themselves as owners and builders. To escape this trap, you have to fundamentally reject the idea that exhaustion is a virtue. You have to realize that working yourself to the bone in a linear system is not a noble sacrifice, it is a mathematical failure. Working hard on the wrong thing is the fastest way to destroy your potential, your health, and your ultimate wealth. You must unlearn the habit of the hourly worker and adopt the mindset of the architect. Once you break free from the hard worker identity, you must understand the fundamental shift in how value is created today. For thousands of years, human civilization operated almost entirely on linear inputs and outputs. If you were a lumberjack, your output was exactly equal to your physical input. You chop down one tree, you get paid for one tree. If you wanted to double your income, you had to physically swing your axe twice as many times, which meant you had to work twice as long and burn twice as much energy. In this linear world, working harder was literally the only way to get ahead. The traditional education system was designed to train you for this exact linear reality. You put in a specific number of hours studying, and you get a specific grade. You put in an 8-hour shift, and you get a predictable daily wage. But we no longer live in an industrial world. We live in an economy defined by asymmetric returns. In an asymmetric system, the amount of effort you put in has absolutely no correlation to the financial reward you get out. Naval Ravikant explains that in the age of leverage, your outputs are completely disconnected from your inputs. Let us look at a real-world example. Imagine you are building a business-to-business software as a service platform. You sit down and spend a month engineering a highly complex, multi-tenant microservice architecture. You write the back-end code to handle asynchronous data streams, optimize databases, and manage thousands of secure, independent client tokens. Now, think about the immense power of the leverage you just created. It takes you the exact same number of hours, the exact same amount of late-night focus, and the exact same mental effort to write that code, whether it is going to be used by one single local automotive service station, or by 10,000 massive enterprise clients across the entire country. The input, which is your labor and your time, remains strictly fixed. But the output, which is the value that software generates and the revenue it can bring in, scales infinitely without requiring you to work a single extra hour. This is what it means to build an asymmetric asset. If you spend 40 hours a week manually inputting data or fixing repetitive bugs for an employer, your output is capped at exactly 40 hours of labor. If you spend those same 40 hours writing an automated system that solves that problem permanently for thousands of businesses, your output becomes limitless. The tragic reality is that the vast majority of people are still operating with a lumberjack mentality in a digital world. They are constantly looking for ways to chop more trees. They fight for a promotion that gives them a 10% raise in exchange for 20% more stress. They trade their precious nights and weekends for a tiny, linear bump in their paycheck. But the wealthy mind is not looking for a slightly heavier axe or a slightly faster saw. The wealthy mind is looking for a completely different game to play. They understand that 1 hour of high-leverage work can out-earn 1,000 hours of low-leverage work. They are looking for projects, investments, and systems where a single brilliant decision, or a single well-executed piece of back-end architecture, can compound and generate returns that are exponentially greater than the initial physical effort. If your current job or your current side project does not have the potential for asymmetric returns, working harder on it is actually a catastrophic mistake. You are simply accelerating your own exhaustion for a mathematically capped reward. You have to pivot. You must transition your energy away from tasks where your inputs strictly equal your outputs, and start deploying your time into digital assets where the financial upside has absolutely no limit. The modern world disproportionately rewards those who build scalable systems, not those who merely operate them. If we are no longer living in a linear world, and your financial outputs are completely disconnected from your physical inputs, then how hard you work is no longer the most important variable. The single most critical skill in an age of infinite leverage is judgment. Naval Ravikant defines judgment as the ability to accurately predict the long-term consequences of your actions. When you have access to permissionless leverage, like code and media, the decisions you make are amplified thousands of times over. This means that what you choose to work on, and who you choose to work with, are infinitely more important than how hard you work. Naval has a profound rule for this. He says that direction is much more important than speed. Imagine a person who is incredibly disciplined. They wake up at 5 in the morning, they work 12-hour days, and they never take a vacation. They are sprinting as fast as humanly possible. But they are running in the exact wrong direction. Every single step they take, every hour of exhausting labor they put in, is actually taking them further away from their destination. Their incredible speed is practically destroying their progress. Now imagine another person who spends a week just sitting quietly, analyzing the map, studying the terrain, and calculating the exact coordinates of the finish line. When they finally start moving, they might only walk for a few hours a day, but because their direction is absolutely perfect, they reach the ultimate destination effortlessly. The hard worker identity is completely obsessed with speed. They are obsessed with clearing their inbox, checking off daily tasks, and looking busy for their boss. The wealthy builder is obsessed with direction. In the modern economy, working hard on the wrong project is a catastrophic waste of your life. If you spend 6 months writing brilliant back-end code for a software product that absolutely nobody wants, the market does not care that you stayed up all night to finish it. The market will reward you with exactly $0. Your labor was flawless, but your judgment was completely wrong. This is why the wealthiest people in the world often do not look like they are working very hard. They spend 90% of their time reading, thinking, analyzing, and refining their judgment. They are carefully adjusting their compass. And when they finally identify the exact right opportunity, they spend 10% of their time executing with massive amounts of leverage. To the outside world, it looks like they got lucky overnight. But what the world does not see are the hundreds of hours they spent simply sitting quietly in a room, refusing to run until they knew the exact right direction. You have to stop confusing movement with progress. If you do not know exactly where you are going, the worst thing you can possibly do is run faster. You must step back, drop your tools, and prioritize your judgment over your labor. Once you understand that judgment is your most valuable asset, you have to completely change the physical way you approach your day. The industrial age conditioned us to work like cows. A cow stands in a field and slowly grazes on grass from sunrise to sunset. It moves at the exact same slow, predictable pace all day long. It never stops, but it also never sprints. This is exactly how modern corporate culture expects you to work. You arrive at the office at 9 in the morning, you sit at your desk, and you slowly graze on emails, meetings, and minor tasks until 5 in the afternoon. You are expected to maintain a steady, mediocre level of output for exactly 8 hours, simply to prove to your manager that you are working hard. But Naval Ravikant says that if you want to build wealth through knowledge and leverage, you cannot work like a cow. You have to work like a lion. How does a lion operate? A lion spends the vast majority of its time doing absolutely nothing. It rests, it observes its environment, and it waits. It is preserving its energy and using its judgment to identify the absolute perfect target. But the moment the lion sees its prey, it does not jog. It sprints with maximum, terrifying intensity. It deploys all of its energy into one short, highly concentrated burst of execution. Once the hunt is over and the lion has secured its prize, it goes right back to resting. The human brain is an incredibly powerful biological engine, but it is not designed to produce high-level creative work for 8 continuous hours. If your specific knowledge involves architecting a highly secure back-end system or writing a complex piece of software, you cannot do that while grazing. You need to operate in short, intense bursts of deep work. You wait until you have perfect clarity on what needs to be built. Then, you lock yourself in a room, shut off your phone, and sprint for 2 or 3 hours with absolute, undivided focus. In those 3 hours of lion-like intensity, you will write better code, build better systems, and create more leverage than a grazing worker could accomplish in an entire week. Once that sprint is over, you have to stop. You have to step away from the keyboard. Go for a walk, read a book, go to the gym, or simply do nothing. You have to allow your brain to recover so that your judgment remains sharp for the next sprint. The hard worker identity will make you feel guilty for resting. It will whisper that you should go back to your desk and answer some useless emails just to look busy. You must ignore that voice. Looking busy is the ultimate destruction of wealth. You are no longer paid for your time. You are paid for your judgment and your leverage. Rest like a lion so you can sprint like a beast. Now it is time to take these philosophical concepts and turn them into a concrete execution plan for your life. Tomorrow morning, you must fundamentally change the way you measure your own productivity. Right now, you are probably measuring your days by how many hours you spent staring at a computer screen, or how exhausted you felt when you finally went to sleep. You have to destroy that metric entirely. Starting today, you must measure your days by the number of leverageable assets you have created. A leverageable asset is a piece of code, a recorded video, a written essay, or an automated system that has the potential to work for you while you are sleeping. If you work an exhausting 12-hour shift for an employer but create absolutely zero assets for yourself, you have not built any wealth. You have simply survived another day. But if you work intensely for 2 hours and write a brilliant back-end script that solves a problem permanently, you have taken a massive step toward financial freedom. The second step of your new execution plan involves your current job. Most people hear this philosophy and immediately want to quit their employment. That is usually a terrible idea because financial panic destroys your ability to make good long-term decisions. Instead, you need to optimize your current job. You must separate your ego from your corporate identity. Do your required tasks flawlessly. Be professional and deliver exactly what you are paid to deliver. But you must absolutely stop volunteering your extra time just to maintain the illusion that you are a hard worker. Stop staying late just to impress a manager who is playing a linear game. Stop taking on extra administrative projects that do not increase your specific knowledge or give you leverage. You need to reclaim your energy. You need to stop giving 110% to a system that will gladly replace you in a week if you disappear. Give your employer exactly what they pay for, and take your remaining time back. The third step is what you do with that reclaimed time. You must use it to become a lion. Take the 2 or 3 hours you saved by not playing the corporate game of looking busy, and channel them entirely into building an asymmetric asset. Sit down in absolute silence and sprint. Build a scalable microservice. Record an educational video. Write a detailed technical breakdown. Do not multitask. Do not slowly graze on your email or scroll through social media. Deploy your judgment, figure out the exact right direction, and then execute your vision with terrifying intensity. If you can execute this plan daily, something incredible will happen. You will likely find that you are working fewer total hours than you were before. You will have more free time to rest and think. You will feel significantly less burned out. And yet, because you have shifted your entire focus from linear inputs to asymmetric outputs, your potential for wealth will begin to grow exponentially. You are no longer mindlessly trading your life force for a capped paycheck. You are methodically building a digital machine that will eventually buy back your absolute freedom. Escaping the hard worker trap is ultimately a profound shift in your identity. Society wants you to be proud of your exhaustion because an exhausted person is easy to control and easy to replace. But you have to demand more for your own life. You have to stop wearing your burnout like a badge of honor. True wealth is not a reward for your suffering. It is a reward for applying specific knowledge with massive leverage. When you stop working like a linear biological machine and start thinking like an architect, your entire relationship with time changes. You stop asking how many hours you need to work today, and you start asking what digital asset you can build today that will work for you tomorrow. The transition is not easy. It requires the courage to step back, rest, and deploy your judgment while everyone else is sprinting mindlessly in the wrong direction. But on the other side of that fear is absolute financial freedom. If this video helped you rethink your relationship with hard work and time, please hit the like button so this philosophy can reach more people who are burning themselves out for nothing. Subscribe to the Naval Mindset channel to keep rewiring your brain with the ideas of the greatest thinkers. And before you go, drop a comment below and tell me, what is one useless, low-leverage task that you are going to completely eliminate from your schedule this week? I read every single comment. Thank you for watching, and start building your leverage today.